This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the LA 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I'm going to be talking to Jeanette Cronin, very funny, talented actress from Australia. She always plays very eccentric, odd, quirky characters. And it's the 35th anniversary of the Cheech Marin movie, The Shrimp on the Barbie, celebrating its 35th anniversary. She plays the unstable, horse-loving, Mexican-loving cousin, Maggie, and we are going to talk about that film today. And she's also a playwright. She's won a lot of awards. She's done a lot of theater. She just played Betty Davis recently in something. She played the Howard brothers' mother in the Three Stooges TV movie that came out in 2000. And she was in the Yahoo Serious movie Mr. Accident, and she's done a lot of good stuff. It's going to be great to have her on today. Also, rest in peace, Pat Crowley, a classic old Hollywood starlet. Forever Female, Hollywood or Bust, The Wheeler Dealer, Send Me No Flowers, so many great films. Beautiful Lady too, sad. Also, rest in peace, Robert Redford. I can't believe I'm saying that. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, The Sting, The Great Gatsby, Jeremiah Johnson, The Hot Rock, The Candidate, The Way We Were, All the President's Men, The Natural. He directed Quiz Show. The list goes on and on. You know, he's always been there. Always. I remember the first time I saw him, I was 3 years old when Legal Eagles came out. And I know that's a pathetic movie of his to have an early memory of, but it's true. But he was a true original and such a great actor, a great director, and it's sad that he's no longer with us. He's the king of Sundance, baby, the Sundance Film Festival. So yeah, here is my interview with Jeanette Cronin. So, going back in time, did you gravitate toward acting early on in your childhood?
Well, that's an interesting question, actually, because where and how I grew up, I wasn't really aware of it as a thing. Um, I was always the clown, I guess, and I was the littlest one, which traditionally a lot of actors are. In the
Right.
old days, a lot of actors were working class Catholic and the youngest in the family. And I hit all those marks. So I think, you're the one that's trying to keep the peace and entertain everybody.
Yeah.
So I was that, but I grew up at a service station, like a petrol station,
Uh-huh.
and I wasn't really aware of, amateur theatre or acting as a, a job or a profession or anything, until I kind of got to high school. And then there was this great teacher called Jo Denver, who had been an actress in England, a professional actress in England, and we had a theatre course at the school as part of our subjects, and I did that. And I was very interested in art before that, and I was going to go to art school, but then I kind of got into that, and that's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, did you know early on that you were funny because you're so good at comedy?
I don't know. I used to do a lot of impersonations, I think,
Uh-huh.
as a quite a small child,
Yeah.
and I used to muck up a lot and, do shit constantly, I guess. Yeah. But I do remember, because I don't know if you know, but I've played Betty Davis a number of times.
Oh yeah.
And I remember being very young because, all those Warner's reruns kept her legend alive for so long. And I do remember
Yeah.
sitting on the couch with the old black and white telly and watching her, and only being really young, but thinking, oh, there's the me lady, because she looks like me.
Yeah.
But it wasn't really, like, I didn't kind of go, oh, and that's what I'm going to do, or anything like that, or even, portray her or anything like that. I just went, oh, there's the me lady again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't have like great ambition when I was young. I was just buggering around, Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do any theater when you were young that you're extremely proud of?
Well, I didn't do anything until I think I did. The only theatre I did before I went to acting school was the stuff at school, and they were all musicals, and I can't seem to save myself. So, whenever my character would come on, the entire chorus would come on and sing my song.
Mm-hmm.
And then the only other thing I did was with this woman, Jo Denver. A funny thing happened on the way to the forum, and I was mortified because I had to sing in that, and I'm truly shocking, woeful. And that was my only experience. But then I went to acting school in Brisbane for 2 years, and then I went to acting school in Sydney for 3 years. So I did 5 years in a row. And I'd only just turned 17 at the end of high school, so I was pretty young. So I had a really good 5 years of solid training and doing plays and, some really great productions in that. And we had great teachers and things like that. So, yeah, I was pretty lucky there.
Yeah. Did you have any classmates we would know?
I don't know. There was some at NIDA, which is the National Institute of Dramatic Art in Sydney, which ended up quite famous. Probably the most well-known person that was in my year would be Richard Roxburgh. I'm not sure if you're aware of him, but he's in films like Moulin Rouge and Van Helsing and lots of things,
It's vaguely familiar.
Yeah. He's actually a great character actor, and very funny, And me and him were paired together a lot, and me and him actually did a lot of comedy stuff together, which was nice. Yeah.
Did you do any improv early on?
No, well, not only on. By the time I got to acting school, we did. We used to call it improv back in those days. We did a fair bit of that. We had like a really good broad schooling and things. We did a lot of movement in both courses, which was great. And we did voice stuff, and we'd have improv stuff, and we'd have character classes, and all kinds of things. And then, you'd have your productions that you'd do as well. It was a really busy time. We worked really hard, It's like in those days you couldn't really have another job or a part-time job or anything because you were just there till, 2 o'clock in the morning getting ready for the next day.
Yeah, back in those days, like the improv groups and the theater groups and everybody, they just had these long, crazy schedules that, like, you could only do it when you're young because once you get older, you can't do that no more.
No, you have to come home and go to bed at 8.
Yeah.
Watch telly and have a drink. Yeah. Yeah. I tend to like to get everything done in the day, you know. So, yeah.
So how does the shrimp on the Barbie come to you?
Oh, I don't know. It was just one of those things, I think, where I got sent the audition, and I turned up, and I didn't realize this as I was doing it, but I think I was worried about being late, and I'd gotten dressed up. I had this gorgeous little vintage skirt, those sort of skirts, but they're actually shorts.
Yeah.
So the front of it looks like a skirt and the back's like shorts. And it had like a plaid kind of wool thing cover on it, like the skirt part, and it had these black shorts, and it was really short. And I think I had black tights on, and I had these gorgeous little kind of witchy shoes, like 1990 kind of shoes, and I had long hair, like in the film, and I was running in these shoes in this little outfit to the audition. And what I didn't know is that they were driving past, or maybe they were looking at me from the window. I can't remember, but they told me later that they watched me run down the road.
Yeah.
To the audition. And I think it reminded them of a horse, because how she's this horsewoman in the film. So I think they probably thought, oh, well, that's a good omen, And she's obviously keen to get here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were perfect for this role because you had that off-kilter look that made you look unstable, and I just love how You keep hitting him with the whip.
Yeah, well, I can't help how I look. That's how I look all the time, Tommy.
I know, but like I can't imagine anybody else playing that role.
Well, I think I might have done that in the audition, and I must say, Cheech and I just instantly clicked.
Mm-hmm.
Like, our comedy thing and the timing thing was just there from the get-go. Like, it was one of those instantaneous things, you know?
Yeah.
Which was great. Yeah, he's incredibly lovely and incredibly generous. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard a bad thing about Cheech. I had
No, he's a really interesting person. Yeah.
Yeah, I had Tommy Chong on here a few years ago, and I was considered cool for about a week because he's just a huge hero in the marijuana community. And
Yeah.
I grew up loving Cheech and Chong, and I used to watch this movie with my dad on HBO all the time back in the 90s, and I think it's one of Cheech's best movie performances because he's so vulnerable and sweet when he's not acting crazy in this movie, you know.
Yeah. Which movie's that?
And the shrimp on the Barbie.
Oh, in the shrimp on this movie, yeah. I can remember going to the pictures and watching Up in Smoke.
Yeah.
Must have been in the 80s I saw it, or the 70s or something. Yeah.
78 is when it came out. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Was Cheech and Chong very popular in Australia?
Yeah, they were at that time, and you know, everyone just thought that was incredibly cool, Up in Smoke. Because where I grew up, where I'm here now, actually, at my mum's place, is on the Sunshine Coast. So there's a big surfing community and lot of marijuana, a lot of drugs, full stop, like lots of drugs. So a lot of surfies and a lot of dope smoking, and so you know, I think Cheech and Chong were pretty heroic to those guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I just love how you're reading Naked Men on Horses magazine and you're shuffling your toes while you read it.
It was fun. It was really fun. It was, yeah. It was a good time, and I had a lot of, I had a lot of good memories from that shoot. It was lovely crew, and I made some really good friends, and we got to go to New Zealand, which was good because I'd never been before, and I haven't been since actually. And it's incredibly beautiful over there. I had my birthday over there, probably my 26th birthday maybe, and I met this beautiful girl called Paige, who was the third AD, and she did a runner, pardon the pun, on one weekend for my birthday, and we took off and we went to the Bay of Islands. And I think she was supposed to be back at the base, and she'd already flushed one Motorola down the toilet, so she was already in the poo. But we took off and had this great escape in this most beautiful place on earth. Things like that, you know, like it was just glorious.
I love that party scene. You know, he's up there singing "Land of a Thousand Dances" for Wilson Pickett, and you dance with him, and you say, you know, "I love Mexican people," and he's like, "So do I. In fact, I had some for parents."
He's such a sweetie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then of course the brushing the hair scene, you know, where you just go completely crazy is so hilarious. That was like our favorite scene in the movie.
I nearly lost my voice doing that.
Really?
Because we had to do it. Well, I had to do all that whinnying and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And then I got really worried because I didn't think my whinny was as good as when I'd started out because my voice was so hoarse.
I met Vernon Wells at a convention, and I had him on the podcast during a pandemic. He is such a lovely guy, and he's so good at playing assholes. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, he was perfect casting, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I can still remember his sort of smile, you know.
Mm-hmm.
His kind of seedy smile in it, you know.
He's got that Jack Palance smile.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember anything about Terrence Cooper?
Yeah, I do. Look, I can't remember specific things, but I remember spending time with him and the lady who played his wife. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, I can't either.
I remember I remember, like, I can't remember any specific stories about him, but I remember, just being together. And I remember, there was the crew and stuff were incredibly lovely, and hilarious. And I kind of came into it, I think they'd already started, and I think there'd been some sort of hiccups. I don't know whether it was with locations or what it was. And so it was like a bit of a lull. And I think I'd come from a theatre job or something. But anyway, I'd been on this flight and I got constipated and I couldn't have a poo. And I told somebody on the crew, and they're all these New Zealanders, they're so laid back. And they're just like, Jenny hasn't had a poo. Have you had a poo yet? And then I'd have this like poo checkup. And then it'd be like, Jenny, come here. We're going to give you a massage. We've got to get that poo out before you see. Like it was all this sort of stuff. They were so gorgeous. So I kind of broke the ice, I think, in a way, me and my recalcitrant poo. And then I just got looked after from then on. And we just had so much fun. It was just a ball. I hope that poo story is not too bad. Is that all right?
Not at all. There's a lot of locker room talk on this podcast.
They were so cool. I mean, I got put up in the B grade accommodation. I think Carol Davis was in the Hilton or the Four Seasons or some such, and I was in this little apartment, which was lovely. And I remember on the wrap party, all the grips and stuff, with all these like giant Maori and Samoan guys were so cool, and they rocked up in like a big white vintage Jag or something to pick me up, to take me to the wrap party, and they all had spliffs and they had one for me. They were like, get in, Jenny, have a smoke. And then they took me to the party. Danced all night. I was really spoiled, Tommy. I got looked after.
Yeah, sure sounds like it. Michael Gottlieb, a few people have told me he wasn't the easiest director to work with on the couple movies that he did and stuff. Did you find that to be so?
Well, look, I found him fine, but I think there were kind of rumours that something was going on in regards to perhaps there was an A script and a B script going around. Oh,
yeah, I talked to Alan Shearman, who co-wrote the movie. He told me about that. He said that the script that him and Ron House wrote, it was completely changed by a third writer, and he's like, we never even met that third writer.
Yeah. And I think maybe with Michael Gottlieb and the producers and stuff, maybe there was a schism there, and one lot were doing one thing and one lot were doing another thing, but there was something going on, and I think that's probably what my poo helped the crew get over a little bit. Yeah, but I wasn't kind of, like, nobody kind of told me exactly what was going on, and I was only 26, and, I was happy to be there, and I didn't want to kind of pry too much about any of that stuff, and it didn't really affect me too much because Cheech just always was just looking after me and all of that sort of stuff. So, but I think there was probably shit going down, and it ended up being an Alan Smithy picture.
I know. That Alan Smithy's pretty popular. He's directed a lot of movies.
Yeah, well, I'm proud to be in one. You got to be in one before you go,
Well, the funny thing is Michael Gottlieb had directed a really popular movie called Mannequin a few years before.
Yes, with Carol.
Carol Davis was in that movie. Oh my God, I interviewed an actor from it. He told me that Carol Davis was so stuck up throughout the entire movie, and they were like playing close, buddies in the movie. And then the last day of filming, she invited him to have dinner with her, and he was like, what's this all of a sudden, And she's a person who doesn't warm up to people right away. He said that she needed to get to know him before she can trust him. I thought that was a very interesting story.
Well, me and her actually became great mates, and she used to have me over to her hotel for hot chocolates and, supper and stuff. And
wow.
we had a lot of laughs, me and her. But then she invited me to come and stay with her because I was in New York. I don't know when it was, how far apart, whether it was the next year or whatever. And I think I overstayed my welcome because back in those days, you had to, if you had any trouble with your money when you were traveling, you had to go to the bank. And I couldn't get the money out of the bank thing. And so I had to keep going into this bank to try and get them to release my account, so I could draw on it while I was away. It must have been, I went over there to do a sitcom. That's another story. I'll tell you that in a minute.
Okay.
And so I was there at her place, and she ended up getting the shits with me. I mean, I don't know how long I was there. I was there like maybe a week or something. And I was like desperately, I didn't know what to do because I couldn't get any cash, and there was money in my bank, but I just couldn't get it out. And anyway, she got the shits and wanted me to go. And I remember I thought, I finally got the money, and I put $100, back, which was a fair bit back then, to say, look, thanks for having me, and this is to pay for some things. I didn't know what to buy her. I didn't want to buy her a gift in case I got the wrong thing. And
yeah,
I put it in a card and I put it in an envelope, and I gave it to her, and she said, "You gave me a card." A card. I was going to say, "Oh, well, open it," but I thought, "Oh well, she doesn't open it. She doesn't open it."
Yeah.
I gave it to her. And that's how we parted.
Wow.
I know. But I was also young. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have anywhere else to go. And I wasn't there for that long. I think she just got sick of me, really. And I think we were probably politically not aligned,
Wow.
quite possibly.
Yeah, she strikes me as somebody who's like conservative and just full of herself.
Well, I don't know. I mean, she had a very interesting life. Like, she told me lots of stories about her life and stuff, and she's kind of done a lot of interesting things. But it's probably tough, like a bit of a tough broad,
Did she talk about Prince?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did. Yeah. And I think she might have done, because I think that point she was still kind of doing performances in clubs and stuff, and I think she might have done like a night at a club in New Zealand when we were there, I think. I've got a funny feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But we had a great time when we were together there. It just kind of fell apart a bit later on,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about Bruce Spence?
I know Bruce Spence. Yeah, Bruce and I have done a few things together, and I grew up watching Bruce on telly. There was a show called Certain Women, and he played this character called Big Julian, and we all used to watch that show religiously. I think it was on a Thursday night, because then you had to, literally watch it on the night that it was on. And so I was aware of him from when I was quite small. And then when I became an actor in Sydney and started working, I'd come across him, quite a bit.
Yeah.
And he's lovely. Like, he is just a darling bud, that guy.
Yeah.
So smart.
Very talented guy. I loved him in the Mad Max movies and stuff like that. He what's that play he got famous for where he's like that really tall outcast or something?
The Floating World, was it?
No, it was like a one-word title. It was like in the early 70s.
Oh, wasn't
Tree or something. He's like tall. He's like,
I can't remember. I don't know. I think he might have just been awarded the they do like a what would you even call it? They celebrate a veteran actor each year for equity, and I think they might have celebrated Bruce last year. I did a thing with him. I think it was maybe 21 or something, called The Tourist. In South Australia.
I just looked it up. Yeah. Stork is the name of it.
Stork. Well, I said bird. I was thinking some kind of bird. Yes, yeah. Stork. Yes. Yeah. He became very well known for that. But he's done so much. And he's a real darling, and he's a really solid person.
Yeah. Very.
Really lovely.
Vernon told me.
Always.
Vernon told me he's an absolute mensch. That guy.
He is great, and he's always like, he's never kind of, he's always happy to see you, you know,
Uh-huh.
like, and yeah, like I think we might have got together when we were doing that show, The Tourist and stuff, and I'm always like really pleased to see him, you know.
Hmm.
It's lovely. Yeah.
I love in that last moment before the movie's over. You're working in the Mexican restaurant, and you're like, Mexicans.
Dear Maggie.
Yeah,
I was so young, wasn't I? And I look at that. I mean, my God, it's just a little baby.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that sitcom
Oh.
story you were gonna tell me.
Oh, yeah. I feel
Mhm.
really bad about this. And I felt really guilty about it. Cheech invited, because we just got on like a house on fire, and we kind
Mhm.
of had something special between us. And he wanted to do more things, and he had this sitcom that he was going to do in LA. And it was kind of like all these things converged for me, kind of like bad timing in some ways. But I went over there, and all this time, my agent, my dear darling agent, Bill Shanahan, who was just a legend and a hero, was dying. And I went over there, and I had to audition, which I didn't really know whether I had to audition or not, and it was hilarious. And I bought this suit to go, this really nice suit. I think I went to my audition with the fly down, Tommy, hilarious.
Oh, it's
But I
great.
remember, I know, and I remember going into this audition thing at this place,
Mhm.
and there were all these other girls there, and they were in the toilet, you know, and I went to the toilet, and there's the other people kind of auditioning for my role, you know, in there, and you know, and that it's like when you go to an award ceremony, you know, like there's the stink of adrenaline in the restrooms,
Yeah.
and they're in there, and one of them's got these chopsticks. She had her hair up in the bun, these chopsticks, and the other ones kind of go, "Oh, that's interesting. You're going to wear those?" And like doing all that stuff, like frenemy stuff. And I'm
Yeah.
just standing there watching this, going, "Oh my God, what am I doing here?" You know? I'm just this dickhead, you know.
Yeah.
And then I had to go and do it. And I remember someone telling me to hold the sides. We never called them that then, but we call them that now. The, you know, the audition pages in my hand, because otherwise the Americans might think you you're making it up, because we don't do that here. You don't hold, you know, you learn it. And so I'm like hanging on to this stuff, and I did the thing. And anyway, I got it, with the help of Cheech, no doubt. And then what had happened is it was set for these dates, and I'd been offered this play, and I was kind of at the beginning of my career here, and I got offered this play by, you know, the country's kind of leading director, and they'd said that I could go and do the play, that the dates would be fine, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Well, then of course they changed the dates, and I committed to this, and because I felt a bit unsupported, because my agent, I couldn't talk to my darling agent. You know, there was someone else I had to kind of talk to, and I don't think they were really kind of believed what was happening, really. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they didn't seem terribly committed to it. And also, you know, like I had a boyfriend at home, but this play was the thing, because I was terribly anxious about pulling out of it. And I was kind of going, but you should just pull out of it, because this, you know, could be a really big thing for you. But I also I think I just freaked out a bit. And so they said, "Oh, we'll just go off." And so it's terrible. I had like this ticket, this first class ticket or business class ticket home, which I'd never been on before. And I just kind of cashed it in and flew. And that must have been when I went and saw Carol in New York.
Uh-huh.
And I came home, and I just never went back. And I felt really bad about it. But I wanted to do this play. Bloody hell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, of course, I never worked with that guy again. But the play was a huge success. But it was just, you know, making decisions like that and just kind of being on my own. But I felt really bad about it for Cheech, because I just kind of took off, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think probably, you know, I was like in a hotel room by myself, and he'd been really great. Like he'd invited me over to his place, you know, before, and I missed out on meeting John Bon Jovi by 5 minutes. But, you know, he was a darling, but I just kind of freaked, I think. And it's one of those things that I do regret, and I regret letting him down because we sort of had something special and he was really looking after me, and I just kind of freaked out a bit, you know.
Yeah.
So I did that, and, you know, that was a bit of a bugger. I don't think they made the series of the sitcom. I think they went on to make the pilot. I think it was about three Chicano guys, but I can't quite remember the premise, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. But I don't think it went. I don't think it went to series, as far as I know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so that kind of happened, which was, you know, sort of disturbing. And, you know, my agent died and, you know, all of that stuff. And, yeah.
Wow.
I probably just needed a bit of help, you know.
Mm.
Yeah. But anyway.
By the way, I forgot to mention Emma Samms. Vernon told me she was not very easy to work with. Did you find that so?
Well, I don't think I had much to do with her, did I? Did I have many scenes with her?
Maybe the restaurant at the end. That was about it.
Yeah. She was. I remember her being fine, like, but I don't think I had that much to do with her. I ended up having more to do with Carol,
right,
for some reason. Yeah. So I don't. Yeah, I can sort of vaguely remember talking to her, and I think she was always nice to me, you know.
Nice.
But I didn't really have much to do with her on, you know, like in working with her or anything like that. So, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was just running around having fun.
Yeah. You played the lead. I never saw this movie, but I'm intrigued. You played the lead in a serious movie called Terra Nova. Was that was that like a really challenging experience for you? Were you going for like an award-winning role?
No, and look, that movie kind of that was like probably the first and only lead role in a film that I've ever had, and it was shot very quickly, and that was shot by a New Zealand director who'd actually found my photo and seen the photo and then gone click, and then he actually came. I was doing a play at the Sydney Theatre Company, and he came and he left the script and did all of that sort of thing. But he was also, you know, people were trying to get somebody else more famous than me for that. And he fought for me, and we did that together. And we shot it in this old, part of the old lunatic asylum in a place called Gladesville in Sydney, which is down on the water. And it's a lot of films and stuff have been done there. I remember we went down to the dungeon where they had the cells and stuff, and you'd find old bits of, you know, what's the stuff, the cellophane that goes over the lights, the gels and all of that sort of stuff, kind of like
cling film,
dungeons and stuff. Yeah. And so, it was great because we shot pretty much all of it in that building, and it was a wonderful experience because I did have the lead role. I had so much to do. There was so much work to do, and it was so full on that it was really invigorating and a really, really good experience, you know. I mean, the film, I don't think, you know, got a big audience or anything like that. I think Angela Punch McGregor won an award for her role in it, or was nominated maybe for an award in her role as Margie. But it was a really great experience, but it was really kind of full on, and it was probably would be considered more like a European film or an art film,
right?
Because it doesn't follow, you know, the formula,
right,
of you know what a lot of people think films should be, and it was very moody. It was very beautifully shot, and because it was all about somebody's inner life, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was much more like a French film or a Polish film or something like that, I think, you know. Yeah, and that guy, he does a lot of, he's like one of the big directors of television commercials and things, and he's made a a couple of films as well, a number of films as well since then,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You worked with another comedy genius, Yahoo Serious, in Mr. Accident.
Oh, yes. With my fat bum suit. My niece has played with that for years, that bum suit.
That gigantic ass, yeah.
Yeah. It was very interesting, actually, because a lot of the crew would just, they just have to come and touch it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was fun too. Helen Dallymore, who's got the lead in that, is lovely. We had a lot of fun together. She's terrific. She's also a musical theatre star. I think she might have done Wicked in London or something like that. Yeah. And she's a theatre director as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Yahoo, God, whatever happened to him? He was so brilliant. Like, he did Young Einstein, which was a big cult hit out here in the States, and then after this movie, he completely disappeared.
Yeah. I think things have been a bit tough for him, actually. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, I love that old timey mushroom haircut that you have, and you got that cute dog with you too.
Oh, that poor dog. That dog got diarrhea from all the shooting. You know how they say no animals were harmed? That's never true.
Right.
The animals always suffer because those dogs are trained and all that sort of stuff, but they're also being asked to do things over and over and over and over and over again,
mm-hmm.
which eventually becomes stressful,
Yeah.
And also 2 eyes firing a gun next to it,
Yeah.
So, yeah, but the dog was okay. But animals do become stressed, and I was a bit rough with those little chickens. I think, When I look at the footage, I go, I think I was tossing those little baby chickens a bit hard,
Yeah.
Do you remember the chicken sexing scene?
Yeah. God.
Lunacy.
Lunacy. Yeah. You played the Howard's mother in the Three Stooges TV movie. How was that experience?
No, I played Shemp's wife.
Oh, I thought you played the mother. I keep forgetting. Okay, it's Shemp's wife.
Yeah, I was Gertrude. Yeah.
That's right.
I think that's who I was. Yeah.
Yeah. Was that a good experience?
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. Those girls, all those girls are just lovely. Annalise and Rachel, they're just lovely girls. And the boys were really nice. All of them were really lovely. I remember Michael Chiklis took us all out to dinner at one of the big Chinese crab restaurants in Sydney at the end. They were all really nice. And the costume designer, Terry Ryan, was brilliant. And it was funny, actually, because I was very slim, usually very slim, but I was a little bit fat when we went to do the Three Stooges. And Terry had all these costumes for me because I'd worked with him before at the Sydney Theatre Company and stuff, and he found all these gorgeous, like, size 8 pants, which is probably your size 6 or something, like those long pants with the buttons and all the piping and beautiful, like sequin dresses and stuff. And then I arrived for the fitting, and Terry looked at me and he went, oh. So a lot of them went to Annalise, who played, what's the one with the curly hair, Larry.
Yeah, Larry Fine.
Yeah. She played gorgeous Annalise with the long blonde hair. All of them went to her. But it was good, and we got to. I think we did some stuff at this beautiful State Theatre in Sydney, and we were all dressed up in those gorgeous kind of flapper outfits, with all the sequins and all that sort of stuff on them, and we had to do that. We did that car scene. I remember doing the car scene, and it was all a bit disorganised because I remember them going, because you've got to have a licence and stuff to drive a car and stuff, and it was also double gears because it was a vintage car, like manual. You've got to double gear it every time you double clutch it, rather, every time you change the gears. You've got to do a double clutch thing. And I didn't even know that when I got in the car, and they were like, oh, do you want to drive the car? And I'm like, yeah, okay. I mean, I grew up in a garage, so I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll drive the car. And then they're like, oh, and it's got a double clutch. You know, I was like, okay. And then you got all your dialogue, and I'm like, yeah, okay, off we go. So I'm driving this fucking thing, and I've got all the peeps in the car, and I'm like, you know, smiling away, doing my lines, and pumping the fucking clutch. I was like, well, they're probably lucky they asked me.
Yeah. And Mel Gibson produced?
Did he?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
He executive produced.
Actually, that rings a bell.
I know he's a huge Stooges fan. He gives poke in the eyes in the Lethal Weapon movies and stuff.
Yeah, they do all that kind of slapstick stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandfather saw the Three Stooges movies in the theater, and then when cable hit, when my dad grew up, he passed it on down to him. And then by the time I came of age, it was still on TV, but then home video was hitting, and so like it's like a Kovac family trait, being Three Stooges fan.
Yeah. We used to watch it when we were little, and there's all that stuff that like Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin.
Oh yeah,
all those films.
Love them.
And the Three Stooges. Yeah, all that stuff.
Marx Brothers and Laurel and Hardy. Yeah.
Laurel and Hardy. Yeah, we watched all of that stuff.
Abbott and Costello.
Yes, Abbott and Costello. And I always used to think that they should have each other's name.
Yeah.
That their names suited the opposite one. You know.
I agree.
But I think that would be, yeah. Just like when I was like, well, they got the wrong name, and then I always thought that with Venus and Serena Williams as well. Like, I think they've got the wrong name. I do that a lot with partnerships, you know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Michael Chiklis was great as Curly in the movie.
Yeah, he was terrific and lovely. Like, very magnanimous, very generous kind of presence, you know. They all were, actually. They were all really, really nice. You know, really nice. Evan Handler was lovely. Yeah.
So what got you into playwriting?
Well, I've always written down things like forever, like, you know, got all these notes just on bits of paper for ideas of things. But it sort of started properly when a friend of mine who I'd done a play with before, there was a small theatre company called the Old 505 Theatre in Sydney, independent theatre company, and the artistic director had directed this project that me and this other guy, James Longton, had been in, and he'd said to James, do you want to do something for our 505 season? And James had said, yeah, I want to do something with Jenny, and we were trying to find a two-hander. And we couldn't find one. We just kept looking at things, and, you know, the ages were wrong and blah, blah, blah. And I had this idea. And so I said to the artistic director, oh, I've got this idea. What do you think? And he just went, write it. Mm-hmm. So I just started writing like a bastard and wrote this play for us called Tell Me Again, which was my first play. So that's kind of how it started. Is I did that, you know, and then I just wrote all the time. Like I'd go to the library and I'd sit there for 8 hours until they kicked me out, you know. I absolutely loved it. So that's kind of how it began, you know. Mm-hmm. But it's incredibly difficult. I mean, it's probably more difficult being a writer than an actor in some ways because it's really hard, you know, to get things up and all of that sort of stuff. And most kind of production companies here, like film production companies, everything's very in-house. They like to develop their own stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's now the same with theatre companies. Like a lot of the major theatre prizes are now not for the best script. They want you to submit an idea, which then they help you develop. Yeah. So, you know, it's a changed landscape, you know.
Yeah. God. Yeah. It's hard for so many people to break into things nowadays. It's scary, but
yeah.
You've won a ton of awards. Like, where do you keep your awards?
Oh, I haven't won a ton of awards, Tommy. I've only won one award. I've been nominated for things or shortlisted for things, but
okay.
the only award I've won is the Augie Award, which is the Australian Writers Guild Award.
Okay.
Which was truly shocking to me and Mum, because we weren't going to watch it. And then someone said, "Oh no, you should watch it," because I didn't go, and I won it. So, and that's like a proper big glass motherfucker of an award, you know,
Yeah.
which is sitting on Mum's desk. So I won that one, and the nice thing about that was my first produced and probably only produced screen credit, which is what I won that for. So that was really nice. It was the first thing that I've had on screen.
Okay.
And I got that. Yeah.
Okay, I guess they were like maybe shared awards or something like that that I was reading.
Yeah, things like that. I mean, I've been sort of nominated for a number of things, and some of the things that are awards are, you know, like cast awards for things and stuff like that, you know. But I won Best and Fairest at the Bundaberg Soccer Carnival when I was 14 or something. That was my only trophy before this one. And that was just because I kept getting up after getting mashed into the ground. And the ref, I thought I had guts.
In the last 25 or 30 years, there's been, you know, so many Australian actors becoming international stars. Nicole Kidman, Russell Crowe, Cate Blanchett, so many. Like, how do you feel that that's been going on?
How do I feel? In what way?
In that, you know,
Like,
that people from, you know, your home country are becoming international stars.
oh, it's great, you know. You know, people. There's a really there was a really strong work ethic here, and I think that's, you know, when people would come to make movies here, there was very much a can-do attitude with not a lot of money. Mm-hmm. You know, really great crews, really good discipline, really great with problem solving and stuff like that. And there was, you know, a really good ethic with the theatre schools and also, you know, with the theatre companies in those days. And so, you know, people got there's a lot of talented people who got a really good, solid training, worked with great people and, you know, had a good work ethic and attitude and stuff. So it's not surprising, really, you know, that, you know, that they're successful, you know.
Yeah. Do you have anything upcoming you'd like to mention?
I'm about to do, well, I'm not about, but in February next year, I'm going to be playing Betty Davis again in a different play called Betty and Joan, which is written by Anton Burge. So it's much more kind of in the feud vein. It's while they're making Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. It's been done, hasn't been done in Australia before, but it's been done several times in London. In fact, when I was doing my Betty show in London in November, Greta Scacchi was doing this play at the same time. So, and she'd done the play, I think, back in 2011 or something. And then I played her in another play called Dark Voyager, which is a, you know, play on Now Voyager and Dark Victory. And she'd been unavailable for that. So I played that. And then I had my own show with a co-creator and director, Peter Mountford, called Queen Betty, which is a much more Betty on Betty. You know, it's not the bitchy, catty stuff with Joan Crawford. It's actually how Betty felt about the world, you know, and a lot of it's taken right out of her mouth from interviews and things like that. And it's more sort of about her mum and her life. It's a really, really beautiful one-person show. So now I'm going to go and do Betty in another play. So I'm just working on that at the moment. Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you have a favorite Betty Davis movie?
Oh gosh. Well, there's Dark Victory, and I always love her story about when I don't know whether she was watching a rough. I think she might have been watching a rough in the theaterette, and she said she just cried because she could see how good she was.
Yeah.
So I love that because I know she loved it,
Yeah.
But I mean, they're all so great. I mean, all about Eve and, the sisters, I mean, all of it. There's just so much stuff there.
I
Could go on
love
forever.
I love whatever happened to Baby Jane.
Yes. And what's the one that came after that? Always can never remember the name of it. The other one that he did that Joan was meant to be in and Olivia de Havilland did.
Oh, sure that was All About Eve. That was in the early 50s.
No, it was another kind of horror-y, thriller-y one. It drives me crazy. I was trying to think of it the other day and I couldn't think of it. And then when I found it, I went, of course. Oh, Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte.
Oh, yes. Hush, Hush, Sweet Charlotte. Yeah, that's a great one.
Yes. Yeah. And her and Olivia de Havilland were great friends, So that's always enjoyable to watch them being kind of enemies in that because I know they loved each other very much, So they would have had fun, I think, doing that. Yeah.
She did a great movie.
They would have had fun.
She did a great movie with Sterling Hayden called The Star that I like, too.
Yeah.
And Natalie Wood was in that one, too.
Yeah. Well, I nearly got to be, they did Peter Bogdanovich.
Yes.
Did the Natalie Wood story here.
Right.
And I was the reader for pretty much all the auditions for that week. And Betty Davis was actually in that originally in the script.
Right.
A young Natalie Wood with Betty Davis. And so then I got to audition for Betty Davis, and that would be the first time that I would, someone would consider me as Betty Davis in something. I mean, a lot of people all my life have said, you should play Betty Davis, but I actually got this audition, and I'd been there all week in front of them doing this stuff, and there was like Marilyn Monroe was in it, and, all these people. And then, so I did this audition, and then I never heard anything. And I thought, fuck, how can I not get that?
Yeah.
And then I ran into the casting director years later. She went, oh, isn't that shit about them cutting that scene? And I went, oh, okay. She said, yeah, you got it. And then they cut the scene. And I was like, oh, okay. Someone could have told me at the time, So I hope they cut the scene. Anyway, I don't know that I ever saw it.
Yeah, it was. I saw it. It was. I think it was Elizabeth Rice played her in that movie. I think I reached out to her a couple of years ago to come on here because she
played Betty Davis or played
Natalie Wood.
No, wasn't it Joanna Wally Kilmer?
Oh, maybe I have another biopic of Natalie Wood confused because Elizabeth Rice did play her in one that Peter Bogdanovich made.
Oh, then it must have been it. That must have been it.
Yeah.
It was definitely him. Yeah.
Yeah.
She might have done another one, maybe.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Anyway, it's a pretty funny week.
It's possible. Jeanette, thank you so much for coming on. This has been just fantastic.
Oh, you're really welcome. Thanks so much for having me, Tommy.
Yes, and my condolences to you on your mom. I'm so sorry that happened.
Oh, thank you. She's here with me watching the whales. She said before she died, I want to see a whale before I go. And then on the day she died, I walked out onto the deck and there was the whale.
Oh,
so
that's so
every
sad.
time I can see them right now, Tommy. I can see them out there right now. So Mum's with the whales and everywhere,
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad, so beautiful at the same time.
Oh, yeah. She's wonderful. She's a wonderful thing. Yeah. So I'm very lucky.
You are. You have yourself a great day and be safe.
Thanks, Tommy. Take care. Okay.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Jeanette Cronin, ain't she a sweetheart? Oh, my God. I didn't know what I was in for, and I'm glad I got I'm glad I got what I got because she is just like her characters, so wonderfully quirky, and she's smart at the same time, and funny and witty, and that was so awesome. She's one of Australia's finest comedic geniuses, I have to say, and I'm glad she's playing Betty Davis because Betty Davis is a legend, I wish I could go see her perform playing Betty Davis because she looks exactly like her. Like she could be her, illegitimate daughter. She looks so much like Betty Davis. If you're in Australia, go see her. That's all I can say. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes. I said na 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 na. I had to do that.